this is Professor Sarah, and it is summer 2025 almost. And I just want to introduce to you our little AI Goes to College summer chats. We're having some short form podcast material here, just little conversations that Professor Scott Cason and I are talking about. Specifically today, we're going to talk about philosophical overhauls. So maybe rethinking some of our learning outcomes, maybe rethinking what it is that we're teaching. This is kind of the more existential, problems that we're having with the purpose of education. And we want to address that head on this summer and just talk about some of the issues that you might be dealing with as an educator. And Scott is going to go into that for us right away. So thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoy this conversation.
I like the idea of being philosophically rooted in some kind of theory, because I think that my guess is a lot of folks aren't really going that direction. They're trying to get right to the application part. But I like the idea of banner. I think that could really be a unique kind of element here where folks open up conversation with other folks.
So, I think what we should do is kind of pull back the curtain. Why are we doing this? And if we don't have a reason why, because most of us don't, we're not the makers of AI, we're not the creators, we're not implementing it like in the market, but we are adopting it. Like, how are we working with this? What does it mean? What are the implications for it? Like, that's kind of where we can find something special here. So what's your philosophical overhaul?
Okay, so about 3 weeks ago here, I was doing that community of practice over the course of the spring. And one of the challenges was to try to create AI-proof multiple choice questions, really aimed at online classes, right? What I was finding, I was getting quiz scores that just haven't been seen before on these online quizzes, which I could take all the questions I wanted to, put it in AI, and it would easily answer in a matter of moments without even looking at the module reading. So I spent about 3 or 4 hours one evening just going through thinking of a multiple choice question that I thought was rigorous and complex. And I had 2 or 3 different generative models open up. I think I had Claude, Grok, and ChatGPT. I'd give the same question every single time. It would produce all 3 across the board the right answer, even if it was based on the module reading that wasn't even, it just came from the reading inside a core shell. It's like, well, how are these things doing this? I was like, well, I almost gave up and said, this is ridiculous. I got to rethink this again. I finally said, you know what? Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Why am I trying to defeat the inevitable here at this point? I need to embrace this as opposed to saying, this isn't my job. I'm not getting paid for that. I don't have that. But once I let that go and I said, maybe I should just not try that and just go with the flow of it all and see if I can and let that be the basis and flip my understanding of how I teach and educate.
Bring it on.
So in the old style of thinking about things, technology was in place for the sake of communicating the content. Like a world religions class, I wanted my students to leave the class with all the ideas and objectives and definitional ideas and understanding of the theological ideas and such. The new way of thinking about things, though, I don't think it's possible or realistic anymore, because I'm working under the premise now that every student is using AI. Whether or not that's the case, they can take a discussion prompt, put it in, and get an answer. They can take a multiple choice question, put it in. They're not really coming away with those objectives that I hope in the most ideal setting that they are. So rather than starting with technology for the sake of communicating the ideas of my class, I'm flipping things altogether. We're using the ideas of the class for them to learn about technology. I opened my religion classes for the summer. I'm going to revamp all my classes here. Everything will be tool-based in some way, shape, or form. They're going to come out of this class learning how to use artifacts, how to create images, how to, of course, use ChatGPT, how to make a podcast using AI. They're going to use those tools. We're going to use religion as the funnel through which to get that. But they're going to show me they can use those tools. So they leave my class using AI. We're going to embrace it. And hopefully through that medium, they're going to get something out of it. So how's it going? Our first week right now, we're about to finish our first set of discussions. I'll give you one example of a discussion. Our first chapter in my religion and the humanities class looks at.
So this is an asynchronous summer class that you're teaching right now?
These are asynchronous summer classes, correct. Yeah. So we'll take one example here. One of my classes, religion and the humanities, our first chapter deals with the human question of where do we come from? It looks at different creation stories throughout the world. What students have to do is pick one of those stories, come up with a prompt that shows that or I think I said a 100-word prompt that gets the main idea of that story, plug it in 2 different AI image generation systems to see what kind of images those systems produce. From there, they have to compare and contrast those and also ask, well, what are the hidden biases in terms of what the AI is chosen to focus on versus not focus on in this story? So
Wow.
they're using religion to do a different type of, they're looking at the biases underneath these AI systems, essentially through the lens of religion.
Okay, so they're critiquing the technology, they're critiquing the system. And do you think it's almost like, as a secondary thing, they are hopefully learning a little bit about the question that you asked them?
I think they're learning more. The answers are now genuine because I'm getting their kind of reflection. They seem to be interested in it, but they're getting religion in a different way. I feel more secure that they're getting religion, some ideas about religion now, as opposed to the other way. It was just unclear.
I love this. This is very experimental. This is very cutting edge. You're right. It is authentic. It creates an authentic experience. But I wonder, I had one student who, I did a lot of AI stuff with a class in the fall. And his comment was, this AI stuff is making everything more complicated than it needs to
Mm.
be, which I agree, especially in a face-to-face class. I'm like, it doesn't need to be that complicated in a face-to-face class. But I wonder, so how do you send them into the AI world? How do you open that up? I'm just curious for the logistics of it at the beginning of class.
Yeah, so that's really where the legwork came in, and it's going to continue to have to build here. But I had to make some opening videos. I had to show them, I had to make a video of me using Claude artifacts. I had to make a video. I had to show them how to use the podcast setting. In my creating discussion prompts, I have to give them example prompts or what a prompt would look like. I've had a couple of students email me saying, "I don't know how to make a prompt. How do I do this?" And you just respond and do that, and getting them used to that idea.
Yeah.
But then I see them post something like, okay, they've learned a skill. They've learned something at this point of prompt engineering. They're learning how to do that skill now, which we know
Yeah.
is an important skill. So that's I'm doing my job in a way that I think is concrete and measurable. I saw some survey a couple of weeks ago where even recent grads are saying how much that they regret kind of their degree that they've had because they had no interaction with AI.
Yeah.
And they see how ubiquitous it's becoming in their workplace.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're teaching tech through your classes. You're basically, so you just kind of flipped it. And I love that. This reminds me of teaching Microsoft Word when I first came to FSCJ and realized that students were underprepared
Mhm.
with technology. And I was teaching them how to use email. It was just that students had somehow, like say like 2010, 2011, somehow it slipped through the system and had never learned any of those things in high school. So I had to teach those things and I really dug in. Yes, I need to teach you how to read a short story, I guess. But more importantly, if you really need to leave this class knowing how to write an email. But yeah, but I was never sure how I felt about that. I felt like I was wasting time doing that. But looking back, I'm like, that was absolutely not a waste of time. I didn't need to get to Faulkner, right? I didn't need to analyze poetry as much as at least our students needed to do that kind of thing. So I think what you're doing is so important. But I think it's going to be so hard for so many people to get there. How do you feel about your course outline and the official learning outcomes? Like, is this aligned with that?
So I'm still teaching the same concepts are still included. So we're still dealing with the same themes. We just in terms of those themes are being exemplified in terms of how they're using the technology. So it's still there. It's just carried out a different way. Now, here's in the multiple choice question portion, I haven't found a way to deal with yet. So they're still doing traditional quizzes. However, here's something interesting. So I'm rebuilding right now with the Open Campus, the Humanities 2210 class. And we're going to try something kind of different, which I think if it works, it could lay ground for some good stuff. As opposed to having the quizzes being separate from the reading, we're going to embed the quizzes within the reading pages of our digital pages using H5P. And we're going to lock each page. The students have to answer the quiz question to go to each page. They have to deal with the reading to complete the quiz, in other words. The reading and the quiz aren't going to be separate. They're going to be aligned together. So they have to do the quiz. They've got to go through each reading page, and it's going to be set up using various kind of learning activities along the way here. As the center is going to be the quiz. I think that's going to be a way of maybe slowing down students and forcing them to at least look at the reading. It's experimental. We'll know more in a few weeks whenever the first module is completed here, but I think it has possibilities.
So meaning they can't get to the quiz question until they get to that part in the reading. Is that how it works?
So what I've essentially done is aligned each page of the reading with a slide, and each slide has a question with it.
Mhm.
But there'll be different types of contrivances to which how it will be presented, but each one will, I guess each page will be locked. So once you answer one question, the next page opens. You've got to go through that quiz with the reading to get to anything else in the class for that module.
Okay.
Whereas currently right now, the reading's separate from the quizzes. So feasibly, you don't even have to open the reading at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
That's problematic.
Yeah. I've never been heavy on quizzes except in my film classes, and yeah, I still don't know what to do about those. But I want to know, I feel like everybody's asking me about writing. What do you do about writing in your classes?
So, it's so here's a case again where for your traditional class, you can do more of the kind of traditional kind of writing and understand that you're getting the authentic voice. During class, I've gone, ironically enough, from my for face-to-face classes here, I've gone back to paper-based exams where they're doing an essay in class as well for midterms and finals. I give them 2 essays to do in addition to really complex multiple choice questions. So there, but in the online world, I just can't trust it anymore. Just isn't. I can make something if I wanted to, but I'm not going to spend my time trying to understand it was something created by AI or not. I'm not getting paid for that.
Right.
So with that, I said, you know what? That's why I'm going to flip things. They're doing writing, but it's more reflective writing and analytical writing based upon the AI, what is produced. Almost all their writing will be that. They're writing, but just a different kind of writing.
Yeah. Well, I had my students do a lot of videos. Like, okay, I want to know your authentic viewing experience of this film, for instance, in film class. And I want to hear about it. I want you to do your film review and I want you to tell me about it. And I know that's not writing. I'm like, so I kind of feel like some of that is dropping away. And that again is in my async class. Like I have them make videos for me. But yeah, I'd love to see the way that you present your writing assignment. Yeah, like when you set up the assignment and you're like, okay, I want you to reflect on what the AI output is. What are you looking for in terms of the AI, like that they produce or that they bring to you?
So typically, an assignment will be that. So this week we're dealing with this topic. Formulate a prompt based upon the topic and give it to the AI. I need to see your prompt that you gave it. I need to see its product as well. Those are objective, measurable things. I'm giving them points for their prompt as well as what was produced. And then I need to see a reflection in terms of how far they agreed or disagreed with how the AI, what it produced. In doing that here, I asked that they give me 2 quotes of no more than 10 words from the chapter to show that they've looked at the reading within that. So I'm looking for those page numbers as well with those quoted examples. And I tell them as well, you are free to use the first person. I want to see, in my opinion, here's what I think, or here's what I saw. I want to see that kind of authenticity within their responses. And I want to feel like I'm hearing from a human.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think that's a big difference. There are many faculty who are getting this out, these AI written papers who maybe have never even mentioned AI except to say, do not use. And so if you don't have this open policy of like, I want to hear your authentic voice. I know what a ChatGPT paper looks like, and you can use it as long as you cite it. Maybe that's why we're getting fewer AI written papers because we have opened up that channel. Do you get pushback? I'm like genuinely curious about this because I have not made my online students do this, my async classes. Do some students say like, I don't want to open it by chill. I don't want to put my information in there. Is that, have you heard any of that?
So I'll tell you, the place that got a lot of pushback in the past was using Packback and using their AI system, which wasn't a generative model. All that Packback looks at is the analytical structure. Is there a thesis or a title in the title bar? Is there 100 and 150 words in the discussion part? Is there a source? And a lot of students felt that was oh, well, it's just AI is grading my work. So let me put that away. Let me go to a traditional discussion system here. And so it's clear that I'm very much present. The AI on Packback was giving them a curiosity score per se. It wasn't for their ideas. So that's, I think they want to know that more than anything. So now this kind of took care of that barrier. And I hated that because I love Packback, but it is what it is. So there are rumors of the demise of teaching in 10 years from now that we keep hearing about, that, eventually we'll all be doing online courses. I think that's been drastically overstated. I think humans will want to actually have the opposite, that we'll want to talk to more humans. I think that humanity is going to see a comeback for that very reason. I think that the chance to ban around ideas, that people are going to want that experience. So don't think that we're going to be going anywhere.
I think it's going to be a premium experience to be in a face-to-face classroom, honestly, to be able to be a body in a room with other bodies. Like, I think that piece of it as well is going to be kind of at a premium. So I'm so glad that we talked, because I feel like you're helping me. I'm like halfway there. I'm like, yeah, I need to flip what we're doing, but you just like went all out. Like, I love how you're thinking about it.
Well, again, it wouldn't have happened without one evening. It was a transformational moment, Sarah. Whenever I kind of realized that the majority of my students are using AI to answer these questions, and I'm not sure they're really learning from my class. And for the folks who say, well, we need to go completely back to face-to-face instruction, I agree, but it's not going to happen. Online, right. I'm not getting paid to try to figure out stuff. I'm just going to flip everything over. It was a liberating moment. So
I love it.